Welcome. Welcome back to the South Mountain, and today we're down at the garden again on a cold wintry morning. And what we're going to do today is I want to spend a few moments just talking about how I went and I designed this raised bed garden. Living up here in the mountains, there's quite a few challenges. One is the elevation, the way the slope of the land is, and just being able to build something on something where there's not a flat spot anywhere on this mountain. The other big challenge that I always had here up on the mountain was building something to keep the deer out. This area is loaded with deer, and I had tried so many different things in the past, trying to come up with a way to create a garden to keep the deer out. Nothing ever worked. And so I came up with this design. I built this 4 or 5 years ago in different stages, and what I like to do today is just go through it, pull up some old pictures and show how I built this and how it's been working really well for having a raised bed garden up here in the mountains in an area that's not really designed for raised beds. Again, because of the slope, because of the constant deer, because of the groundhogs and everything else, you really need to protect your raised beds. And this design, you'll see, even though the fence is small, in these 5 years, I have never had a deer jump into the garden. And there's a reason why, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Now, I realize seeing pictures of the garden in winter really doesn't do it justice, so let me share a few pictures that I've taken over the last couple of years during Just a quick reminder that when you do choose the wood that you use to build your raised beds, choose something either like cedar that has a natural preservative or something that doesn't have any kind of man-made chemicals that could leach into your soil. I was very careful with the wood that I chose to make sure that it had no preservatives that could leach into the soil, because that's something you don't want. So make sure you choose the right type of wood. This wood has been here for 5 years. It's held up quite well. Now, as you look at the beds here, you'll see that I used dimensional lumber, and the dimensional lumber I used was 1x6x8s, and I would cut them in half for the other side. So each one of these beds is a 4x8. Down here in the back is normally where I plant my tomatoes. And I use we'll talk about that in the future, about how I do my tomatoes. The area here in the front, you can still see I still have carrots in the ground, and I got to pull them out to see how they're doing. But carrots you can usually leave in pretty long. So we'll be pulling them out within the next day or two. So, but you can see in front the kiwi. And let me walk around and I'll show you how I have that set up. So for the kiwi, originally I was thinking about putting grapevines here. You can see there's a board there I need to put back up. But here what I did is I have the cold hardy kiwi, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 5 female plants and I have 1 male, which is about the ratio you want for cold hardy kiwi. So they take a number of years for fruiting. Last year was the first year we did have some fruit. The birds beat me to it. But this year we're looking forward to hopefully having a lot more fruit. So let's go down to this next part. This first part is the part I built originally. And then the second part here, I built after the fact the next year. And what I did here, I like backyard orchard culture. I think if I said that correctly. Whereas what you do is you train your fruit trees to stay low. And so for this lower part, this is actually a combination of raised bed garden, but also my orchard. And here in the orchard, I have 4 peach trees. In the middle there, I have 2 apricot. And then at the bottom, I have 4 plum. So altogether, we have 10 trees in this small section. And you can see how I keep them short. I don't let them get over my height. And this has worked out really well. And again, they've been growing amazingly well because the deer have not come in to try to eat any of these things. So you can see how I had to do the beds because I'm on a grade here, and so each bed is level. So even though I am on a grade, everything is growing flat and even with when the sun goes over. So that's the way I designed it. So again, on the outside, I have my raised beds. And then in the middle, I have my orchard, or my backyard orchard culture, if I say that correctly. So you can see how I had that design, and like I said, it's worked out really well. For the 5 years that we've had this here, we have had no issues with any deer. We always had issues in the past with any trees that I planted outside the garden, even by putting fences around them. The deer just ate them alive. But by having the trees inside my raised bed area, by combining the orchard and the raised beds, that it really helps to keep the deer out, and I've had no issues whatsoever with them. So this works for me up here on the mountain in an area full of deer, in an area that's not flat in any way. And so far, for the last 5 years, it's been really productive. Something that I mentioned earlier, in that in the years since I built this garden, we have never had a deer attempt to jump the fence. And I think the reason for that is our fence is only 5 feet tall, so a deer could jump this with no problem. The thing with deer is that if they don't see a safe landing spot, they will not jump. And so what I've done is that I've made sure that around the entire perimeter of my raised bed garden area, I have raised beds. So when a deer comes up to the fence, they can't see a safe spot to land if they do jump, and they don't jump. So at least that's been my experience. In 5 years, we have loads of deer. When I used to have gardens other places, they had no problems getting into it. But since I designed it this way, with the fence, which is about 5 foot tall, but then the raised beds around the perimeter of the garden, they have never attempted to jump it. So hopefully that's going to continue. So I hope you enjoyed this video and a quick look at my approach to raised bed gardening in a mountain area or areas that have challenges like with deer and with sloped ground. This is working for me. I hope you found it beneficial. I plan on producing more videos to show you more about how I designed this and could go through other details about growing vegetables and the fruit trees and other things up here in the mountains. So if you enjoyed it, please subscribe because I plan on creating more videos. And if you enjoyed it, please like it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.